Hey guys, Chris Cooking Nashville and Ash Taylor here. It is time for another health vlog, and this is the conclusion of week 4 on carnivore for the beautiful Ash Taylor.
Woo woo.
Woo woo indeed. We're going to talk about all of the things going on and what the future looks like after everything she's experienced, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all of the things in between. What are we going to do going forward? Stick around and we're going to tell you about it. All right, y'all, we are going to talk about week 4 on carnivore with Miss Ash. I apologize if you can hear the dog chewing the bone under the table right now. I'll try to take that out in the editing portion, but
She got a special bone today. She was very well behaved.
Yeah.
She's laying on top of my feet and then just chewing loudly.
Chewing loudly. Yeah, she tends to do that. So
But she's happy. The dog's happy.
The
so
dog,
it's okay.
the dog is happy, which means all of the self-sacrifice and effort we put in apparently must be worth it, supposedly.
Yes.
So thank you so much for going along with us on this 1-month journey with Ash for carnivore. Let's talk about what her last week of this month has been like. The good, the bad, and everything in between, and what it's going to look like going forward. My health is good. I'm feeling good. My energy is good. This shirt is actually one. I'm going to see if I can find the picture of me wearing this before we knew what keto was, because I used to wear this and then I stopped wearing it, because if you're looking at that picture right now, you'll realize that I did not look very good in this, and it was very, very tight. I couldn't even keep it pulled over my belly. So I still have extra weight to lose, but when I see that picture and then I put the shirt on and there's extra room in it, it really makes me realize how far I've come. Pretty incredible. I'm feeling pretty good. So it's not really about me though. What do you have to say to the fine folks about your 4th week on carnivore and just your whole month on carnivore as a whole?
Yeah. Well, I guess just kind of looking back after doing it for a month, some immediate things that I think are just important to note. For sure, the experiencing of mental clarity. I feel like that has been a really big blessing. Lots of energy, lots of stamina. Had lots of nights where it's like I didn't sleep very well, or we were up crazy late and then up early the next day. And I felt like I was just able to really just do what I had to do and not feel necessarily terrible like I usually would. I have to say, energy, mental clarity, definite things I noticed, very big wins. I noticed things too, like hair, skin, and nails growing thicker, longer. That's always like a big win and a big plus. I definitely noticed that. I also can definitely tell that my hormones are kind of just getting like leveled out and everything. And I feel like my body has just dumped a bunch of stuff. I think it's just safe to say, like, no matter what your opinions are on the carnivore diet, it works. When we started doing this, I wasn't really sure what my experience was going to be. After being keto so long, it's like, well, maybe I won't notice any kind of a change. Maybe it's going to be like life-changing. Like, I had no idea. What amazed me is like keto and carnivore aren't that far apart per se, but then it's like you start taking even less carbs and like all that, fiber and stuff out of your diet. My body was just like, shoo. I mean, I've lost 10 pounds this month. The thing that I wasn't, kind of like expecting that has kind of, I guess, made me think about things differently is when I was keto, I thought that was like really healthy because that was just so much better than my standard American diet. I kind of like him realizing though, by going carnivore, there were so many things with like inflammation and especially like hormonal things where it's like my hormones are clearly way out of whack, and carnivore is helping me put those back into place, where I was like, that's a benefit I wasn't expecting because of that like shock and being like, oh wow, like look at how I'm reacting. I think it has kind of opened my eyes to maybe I wasn't as healthy as I thought I was before. Maybe being carnivore for a month has kind of opened my mind up to things where it's like, I think my body may actually need more of this and more of that. And I just think knowledge is power. It doesn't matter where you fall on the proper human diet spectrum. Listen to your body, and if it's telling you like, hey, we need this or we need that, it's like, just listen. So kind of an unpleasant thing, but it's definitely made me think a lot about like what I should be doing and actually what is best for my body to feel and look my best and to eventually reach my goal weight.
So week 4, the good and the bad, what has been your experience this past week?
Week 4 was really tough. I think week 4, so if you watch the last health vlog, which was week 3, I said that after it felt like, a couple weeks of just dumping and all this stuff, week 3, I had a lot of energy. I was doing really well, and a lot of like the bathroom issues and all that went away. Well, I spoke too soon because week 4 came and it knocked me on my butt. Week 4 was almost like I would say week 2 all over again, but worse. I told Chris like a couple days into week 4, I said, I think I now understand why they say to do this for 90 days at first and not a month, because I honestly genuinely believe that a month of doing this, my body is still dumping and it's still adjusting to things. So I really don't think you can get the full benefits, just to be fair, for doing this for 30 days. Even though, in my case, if that's all you can do, I still think it's worth it though.
Sure.
So, because like I said, it's kind of opened my eyes to things that I didn't really think about or realize before.
Right.
Week 4 was really hard. I basically got crazy nauseous. Anything that I ate right back out. It was to the point where I just didn't want to eat anything. I really struggled with a lot of different things like that this week. I also then had a whole thing again where it's like I had, you know, we talked about like a couple weeks ago, my cycle being on and off and all this stuff. Man, it like came back with a vengeance. So I did not have
To be fair, this time it came back on schedule.
Yeah.
So the
true.
last one was not schedule issues. So this is kind of on schedule, but it is still kind of annoying.
Yep. It's a pain in the butt. My weight also like fluctuated. I usually don't weigh throughout the week. I've kind of only been weighing once a week before we do these like health vlogs, just to kind of know where we're at. And my weight fluctuated like crazy though. I think because clearly it was like, you're bloated and you're hanging on to all this water. And then there was just so much going on. Yeah. So I did not lose any weight this week. However, I can tell that like the inflammation and stuff is starting to go down. Yeah. My wedding ring is starting to feel, you know, looser again, and definitely cleansing. I broke back out in a couple pimples and just, you know, things like that. I do think though that's why they say to do it for 90 days and not for a month, because I don't think you can really get through a whole period of getting everything out and cleansed and then kind of really actually see the full benefit until the 90 days. However, really impressed though that it's like, after doing this a month, that clearly there's all this stuff that my body still is trying to work out and shed. So with that being said, I actually think that I probably would like to try to remain carnivore or as close to as much as possible. I do think, especially just because of like the stomach issues and trying to figure all that out, I do wish that maybe when I had agreed to do this, that I would have done like a month of like super clean keto, like meat and veg, that's it. And then do a month of ketovore and then work my body up to this. I think especially being a woman and like with hormone issues and our bodies are so much more complicated. I feel like, unfortunately, like going into it this way, it was a good thing in many ways, but in some ways I think it just threw my body for a loop. So I think my body and my hormones were just kind of like, what are you doing? Like it shows like how out of whack they were. And despite having things like bathroom issues and like your cycle coming back and just all these different things going on though, it's like I still lost 10 pounds. I still feel really good. That stuff may be kind of annoying, but I definitely feel good. I have good energy, good mental clarity. And so I think I'm kind of just committed to basically trying to stick to carnivore the best I can and as much as I can. And, you know, maybe at some point in the future, try to schedule out time where it's like I can do 90 days of it.
Like real strict for 90 days.
Yeah. Do real strict for 90 days. But that's kind of the thing though. I know too, just like some hopefully helpful tips if you are doing carnivore and you're experiencing some of the things that I just said that I did, or if you're thinking about it and you just want to have the knowledge. I know you were very kind when I was struggling like with bathroom stuff and all that kind of stuff. You actually went and got me, is it kefir?
Yeah, so I was watching a number of different things online and just searching for any info that I could to help her with any of this kind of stuff, because truthfully, she's experiencing exactly what I experienced from the bathroom issue side when I went carnivore both times. I also have irritable bowel syndrome, and I have just dealt with that my whole life. So for me, truthfully, it wasn't really that outside of the norm. It was maybe just like a little more extended, but it was something that, you know, like she would say, like, I'm up in the middle of the night and I have to go to the bathroom, like it wakes me up. And I'm like, yeah, been there so many times my whole life, and it's miserable. It really is. But I just have dealt with that for so long. I don't think I ever really thought about it that much.
Yeah.
But then when I saw her going through it, and it's such a change because she's not someone who experiences things like irritable bowel syndrome, I realized like, okay, for someone who doesn't deal with this regularly, like this is a big change and this is kind of a miserable experience because you're not used to dealing with this. Although it's exactly what I've gone through and what many people have gone through, it doesn't make it any less unpleasant sometimes to deal with it. So I started doing some research, and there were a bunch of people actually on some of my videos, and I found other places where they were talking about various gut health things and different stuff you could do when you go carnivore if you're struggling with this. One of the suggestions was kefir. You know, it's like a sort of along the lines of like yogurt. It's like a fermented bacteria culture, you know, cream dairy type product. And it kind of, honestly, it just tastes like sour cream, sort of, if you've never had it. It's like kind of a tart cream flavor. So I did some research on the kinds that, the brands that are out there that have nothing added to them, that aren't, you know, anything weird. There's no sweetener, there's no flavorings, there's nothing. It's just purely the dairy, and that have really good live active cultures still in them, because this is what people suggested. There's a lot of different suggestions everyone had in the places that I looked, but that was perhaps the most readily accessible for us because I was able to just order it from Whole Foods and had it delivered to the house. Generally, I don't do that kind of stuff, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend you go drink a bunch of dairy like that, you know, when you're doing carnivore, but it's also one of those things I'd much rather you have a few dairy carbs than for you to be struggling with that. Well, and so we went ahead and got some of that for her to try.
Yes, and to be fair, there's not any TMI here. Also, this is a carnivore health vlog, so we're going to talk about poop. I think we've talked about poop in every video, so it just is going to continue. But
it's just a good thing.
No, but like, I was doing a lot better on week 3, and when week 4 hit, the reason why he got this for me, and it's like, yeah, maybe you don't want to do that. Okay, carnivore police, whatever. But I literally like could not make it 30 minutes without being in the bathroom. Right. And it was to the point that I couldn't eat anything because it literally just comes right back out. And it's like,
you would eat and it would kick your digestive system into gear.
Yeah.
And within 15 to 20 minutes, she was in the bathroom because she had just eaten something, and it just made everything start to move again.
Right. Okay. So if you are working, that can't be the case. You know, It's like you have meetings. In my case, I had shows where it's like, I have to be up here on the stage for an hour or two. I can't get off and go to the bathroom. And it's like,
you can't stop mid-song and just be like, everybody excuse me, that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Or like, I can't be in the vocal booth trying to record vocals and stop every 10 minutes to go in there and, you know what I mean? So it's like, I told Chris, I said, I just don't know what to do, because it's like, I'm not eating because it's like, it's just coming right back out. And it's like, I feel like I can't work or do anything. So that being said, clearly I think that has a lot to do with hormones from kind of our research and what we've understanding. But that kefir, man, it saved my life. Yeah. So if you are on carnivore, or if you are thinking about it and you start doing it and you start experiencing that stuff, you don't have to be on it forever, but it literally made a big difference. Yeah. I mean, I took the first day, I just took a couple swigs, and the flavor, I mean, it's nothing special. It's not very good per se. It's just like a tart cream, like you said. But man, I took a couple swigs and I was able to like eat something. And within the first couple days of just taking, just a sip or two here and there, it's like all of those problems went away. Yep. And I started to feel so much better again. And now it's like, oh wow, I'm actually hungry again. And it's like, I can eat this and I can eat that. But I did have to have the kefir, and I did have to lay off some of the fattier foods.
Yeah, I also, one of the things that I did as she was experiencing some of this is, I'm part of Dr. Barry and Nisha's private group. I'm part of the tribe. And they do some private live stream type stuff, and different things. You can go in there and you can ask questions and get your questions answered. So if you guys aren't part of the tribe, I really highly recommend it. They're amazing, and it's such a great resource to have access to. But something that I always like to do, I love Dr. Barry, and I follow all his stuff, and I've learned all of these things mostly from his channel, and it's just completely changed our lives. But interestingly enough, I also have followed Nisha for a long time for a completely separate reason, because she understands what it's like to do all of this and be a woman. And she also understands what it's like to be married to a carnivore. Yeah. And she herself is not carnivore. Like, she eats some carnivore meals, and then she has other things that don't necessarily fit a carnivore. quote unquote way of eating, but as she calls it, the proper niche diet. It's the things that
Yeah.
work for her. And she's used carnivore as like an elimination protocol, figured out what's going on with her body, dealt with hormone issues, and she has Hashimoto's. Like she talks about all of the autoimmune issues and the hormone issues of having Hashimoto's and being a woman and like pregnancy. I mean, she has so much information about keto, ketovore, carnivore, all that stuff as a woman. Because I'm trying to be a supportive husband and I can't relate from the standpoint of being a woman, so I follow her stuff because I try to figure out information that I can then use to help Ash or to provide information that, might help her, or when I'm creating stuff, cooking or doing things, I know what I can do to support her when she's experiencing certain things. So when she was struggling with this, Nisha actually did sort of a last minute live thing in the private group, and I jumped on and I had a chance. I just asked the question about kind of what Ash was going through and asked if there were any tips. And, she was like, unfortunately, there's not a lot you can really do about that. But she did give a couple of tips. She said one thing, and this is kind of a thing she has experienced. She was like, maybe try like leaner meat. So like eat lean beef and then add fat back to it. Things like the butter, or you can have bacon grease, or, these different kinds of things. And she's like, figure out which ones work better for her and which ones maybe bother her a little bit more, because like she says that she can't have lots of beef tallow because it can bother her. And so she eats leaner beef and then adds fat back to it in the form of like butter and eating bacon and that kind of stuff. I think there was finding a balance there, and because Ash was eating a lot of bacon and we were eating fatty beef. And so I think there was some of that too that maybe was, as you do carnivore, you have to figure out what is the balance and what is going to work for you. And sometimes these things, like, you have to experiment and play around a little bit to figure out what works better. And so she started eating a little bit leaner of beef. I started making like sirloin steaks and then put butter over top of them instead of buying, the ribeyes that were on sale. Or she reduced the amount of bacon that she was having and she added in some eggs. And she's still having bacon and eggs and beef and all that, but kind of playing with ratios of things. Added that along with the kefir. And I think the kefir is supposed to be like a half cup of that is supposed to be like a serving or something. I can't remember. She's been having about a quarter cup a day. I think it comes out to like 2 grams of carbs.
Right.
It's like, so it's minimal, and just having the bacterial culture of that. And I know some people say that they don't think that works at all and that your digestive system destroys that. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I just know people suggested it and it was an easy thing for us to try. And within 2 days, she already started seeing results from it. So whatever that case may be, that and the leaner meats that we added in on Nisha's recommendation really helped. Nisha also said this can have to do with hormones and it just may take time to settle out. So those things all together, that knowledge and information, and then applying it within a couple, 3 days really started to make a difference.
Can I speak my mind?
You can speak your mind anytime you want.
Yeah. For starters, really appreciate Nisha telling you that, because that was very helpful. This
is one of the reasons we love Dr. Berry and Nisha so much, because these are the kinds of things they put out this information as a doctor and a nurse.
Yes.
And it is so confidence inspiring to know people in the medical field who have all that training are there and happy to answer your questions and willing to help. It's one of many reasons we love them so much, because
absolutely.
it is
Also,
so
like,
good.
Dr. Berry is clearly awesome, but like, props to Nisha though too, because I think that's one of the things, and not that, men and women are just different. Our bodies are just designed to have these different functions, and that's just how it works, right? Honestly, when I was first experiencing some of this stuff, I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, is this in my head? Is this whatever? And then when you were talking about Nisha's like, no, this is part of it. And, here's some ideas and here's some tips, but then also this is probably hormonal.
Right.
And then a few days later, it's like, here comes your cycle and here comes this. And I'm like,
which then makes all that make sense.
Right. So I'm like, that makes sense. But like, what knowledge is power?
Right.
And honestly, it's like, I think it's kind of harder sometimes to go up to a guy and talk about this stuff, or maybe a guy just clearly, like you said, like, we're trying to be supportive, but it's like, well, we've never gone through it. Our body doesn't work that way, so we don't necessarily understand it.
The other thing about that is, a lot of times, even Dr. Berry, he knows medically so much about what would be going on in a woman's body with this kind of stuff. most of the time in his live streams, if people ask these kinds of questions, he sits back and he goes, Nisha, you want to take this one?
Yeah.
Because he understands she can relate to it.
Right.
In ways that he can't. So even though he's a doctor who has all the training and the medical knowledge, it's like sometimes what you need is another woman who really understands what you're going through, maybe has experienced it, or at the very least knows what you're talking about because they've had some version of this in their own life, and they can tell you what's going on.
Right.
That helps a lot,
well,
I think.
We kind of talked about this before when you asked me to come do these health vlogs with you, like when I was going to try carnivore for a month.
Right.
Because you've been carnivore for so long at that point, and clearly it's like, well, I'm a guy, but it's like, what if we gave it from like a female perspective?
Right.
Like if you're a female who's never done it before, let's, you know, take a look. And I mean, again, that's why we started this, is so that it would be real and raw and vulnerable, and we talk about all the things.
I love all you ladies who are in my comments section, in my group, and my subscribers here. I love every single one of you. I just don't always understand what you're going through, as best I try to. I just don't get it.
But you know, that's why we're a team, and that's why we're a community, and that's why, you know, you matter, I matter, everyone watching matter. It's like that's part of it. That's why this is not a one-person show. Right. So I agree. But speaking of my mind, going back to the kefir, we're simply just sharing what basically has worked for us. Yeah. Because when Chris started implementing what Nisha said, like doing the leaner cuts of meat, adding the butter, I stopped eating not so much bacon, started doing this, started doing that, things got better. When we introduced the kefir, within 2 days, man, I was like so much better. Yeah. So if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But I'm just saying there are going to be people that are watching that may struggle with that. Yep. And here's the truth of it. I would much rather someone, myself included, I would much rather have a, you know, however much that serving is of a carb or two and stay on carnivore than go, what the hell is happening? And then just quit. Because if I did not, like, if I was not married to you, or if Nisha hadn't said what she had said to you or whatever, I was like, I'm dying. Yeah. Like, this is it. Like, I'm going down.
We have a tendency when we don't know what's going on with these things.
You freak out, dude.
We panic.
Yeah.
Because medically, these are things we don't want to see our body doing. I mean, that's instinctual. It is. That's part of our DNA to like, this is medically not good. What's going on? We need to solve this so it doesn't become a problem. So it makes total sense.
It makes total sense. That's just my hot take though on that is like, you know, if you personally don't want to do kefir and if you don't believe, then that's totally fine. But if there's someone watching and if they hear us say that and them going and getting that and feeling better and sticking with carnivore for longer, that's more important, I think, than, oh my gosh, he had kefir for a week. You know,
that's too much dairy.
That's too much dairy and it's too but would you rather me quit and freak out and go eat a pizza? This is not, you know, like something you just get up and do. It's like, this is long term.
This isn't a religion where you have to follow every single one of the things 100% the entire time because that's what you're called to. And if that means you're a martyr who dies, then somehow you get some special privilege after you die. Like this isn't a religion. This is not who can be the best carnivore. There's not a competition here. This is, how do you feel your best? And we've talked about this, like drinking kefir on a daily basis for the rest of your life, probably not something you want to do. But, you know, we'll do this. I went ahead and I got several bottles of it and I said, just give it a try and drink it every day. And if it fixes the problem, fantastic. Then when it's all gone, stop drinking it. And if the problem starts to return, we'll buy more. And if the problem doesn't return, then we know your gut bacteria is all settled out and you're good. And if it does return and we need to get more kefir, then we'll figure out, okay, cool, do this, what's a more long-term solution, and we'll keep researching from there. But you just step at a time, progress, and just work on making this better and healing your body. And you don't have to be perfect at this from day one. No. And you know what? If drinking the kefir is what works and it works for you and it makes you feel better and whatever, then don't let anybody else tell you not to. Like figure out, Nisha says this, and this is, I love having the ability to just ask her these questions. She says this all the time. She's like, figure out what works for your body, what makes you feel your best, because it's nobody else's life. It's your life. Do the N=1 experiment and figure out what works for you. She eats a proper Nisha diet. You need to eat a proper Ash diet. Yeah. And if you having a proper Ash diet means you drink a little bit of kefir because it makes your gut feel good, so be it. And if somebody has a problem with it, they can go jump off a cliff.
If you don't want to do that, you don't have to.
Right.
But Like I said, I much rather they would have the kefir and be able to go to work and do my job and pay my bills.
Sleep through the night.
Sleep through the night. And you start adding all that up and stick with not a diet, but a lifestyle. We've talked about this before, but it's like, I don't think that really carnivore or just the proper human diet, I don't think it's a diet.
Mm-hmm.
Diets are things where it's like you join a Weight Watchers plan for 30 days. And, you know, like diets are like in society, they're told to be like these very short amount of times where you're like, I'm on a diet this month or whatever. Carnivore, keto, proper human diet, it's like, that's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because you get to the point where you start realizing that when you go back and you eat this other way, it's ruining your mental health. It's ruining your life. You're gaining weight. You're having aches and pains, and you're miserable. This is a long-term thing. This is not a 30-day diet.
The word diet is meant to describe the food that you eat that makes you survive. Unfortunately, we have a cultural thing that has been added onto it, which means diet is the weird way of eating that's a temporary solution, that's not the way you should be eating, that we try to use to hack ourselves, to gain weight, to lose weight, to heal something, whatever, and then we're going to go back to a real way of eating. We think of a diet as not being a real way of eating. So when you use the word diet, everyone like freaks out, and there's this whole cultural implication that goes along with that. Diet is nothing more than here's the food that I survive on. Right? Like if you say, what is a dog's diet? What is a tiger's diet? What is a bear's diet? You're just talking about what is it they eat. That's it. But we have added this layer of implication to the word diet that means, it's something that's weird and outside of what we should normally do. So when we say a carnivore diet, what we're essentially saying is we're just eating carnivore food because that's the best thing for us, makes us feel our best. It's not the cultural, societal, colloquial diet where you have to follow some weird plan like the cabbage soup diet or something like that. So it's a way of eating. It's a way of life. It's a lifestyle. It is your proper diet in terms of the food you should be eating. That's what we're saying.
Why are you so smart?
I don't know if I'm
That
smart.
was really, I've never heard that before. But I really agree with that. Honey, that's very smart. That's a solid point, though. The vet asked me, what's our dog's diet?
Right.
You know, it's like, and I never thought about that from a human thing. Because when someone says I'm on a diet,
we think weight loss and we think restriction and we think weird things. We think temporary. We think all. Right. That is all a completely societal made construct. That is never the scientific definition of what diet was ever supposed to mean when we discussed the word diet.
Wow, that was really good.
There you go. Linguistics with Chris Cooking Nashville.
Wow, I didn't know we were going to get so deep today. I was like, you were talking, and I was like, amen. I was getting real excited.
We're on fire.
Woo, pass the offering plate. That was good.
That's right.
That was good.
That's right.
All that being said, I'm not mad or angry or upset in any way that like I didn't lose any weight this week. Because clearly going back to survival instincts, if I'm not really eating very much and if my body is just like not able to hold on to anything, it makes sense that my body would clearly hold on to whatever it could.
Right.
Because it's
Last
like, what are you doing?
Is burn unnecessary fat cells because it's like, I don't know what's going on, but we might need those in a minute.
Right. Because it was just very sudden and everything. Yeah. I'm not upset that I did not lose any more weight. I can already tell though, like I bet if I weighed in a couple of days, I would probably lose, at least another pound or whatever. Yeah. I'm not worried about it because like I said, I can already tell now I'm more back to being even. I'm evening out. I do think though, great example though on why people should do this for 90 days. But even if you can only do it for a month or 2 months, however long, or hopefully you can just draw it out and do it as long as possible, that would be the ideal thing. Yeah. Which is where I think is honestly just most important. Yeah. I don't think you can snap your fingers and lose, say 100 pounds and whatever. I think this is a long game. And I think the scale will go up and it will go down. And some days you're going to lose a lot of weight. I saw someone the other day. I've gotten so many like carnivore videos like popping up now everywhere I go.
I've ruined her YouTube viewer algorithm.
Dude, I know. I think it's so funny though. Literally, I got an email from YouTube the other day and it told me that I should really check out this video by this YouTuber named Chris Cooking Nashville. It literally is like suggesting my husband's videos to me. I'm like, yeah, I know that guy. But I saw someone, it wasn't even on YouTube, I think it was like on Instagram or something, that they were talking about, like, they did a carnivore diet, and they basically made like some claims where it was like, yeah, if you do carnivore for like a month, you're gonna lose 20 pounds. And I'm like,
maybe.
How can you say that though? Like, these people were
Can't
like
guarantee
dead fact certain that like you can lose 20 pounds.
Everyone in the whole world will.
Yeah, and then they're like, you're gonna feel so great. You're gonna have so much energy. And I'm like, all of that's true. Are you gonna tell these people how they're gonna be in the bathroom every 10 minutes? You want to talk about zits and pimples and like,
hormone fluctuations and swelling.
Well, that's the thing. This was like a big buff guy with like, just like big muscles. And I'm like, honey, you ain't got no period. Like, you don't even know. Yeah. Like, good Lord. But that's the thing. And so I just think that, like, if you take the good, the bad, and the ugly, though, even if like I didn't lose weight this week, that's what I think people hopefully will be encouraged to do with their own like weight loss and health journey. It's like, if you don't lose weight, stop, think about it for a second. Don't get upset and realize, like, okay, why did I not lose weight? Is it my fault? Did I do something? Did I have too many cheats? Did I do this? Did I do that? Or is it like, did your body just hang on to stuff? Like, what happened? Yeah. What happened in the week? Just kind of look at it from that perspective of like, okay, it's not the end of the world. Now, if you have a weight loss stall for like 6 months or something, okay, maybe change things up a little bit. Sure. And that's kind of like what I did is like with keto, it's like I had stalled for so long. And then when I did carnivore, it's like, boom, just lost 10 pounds. There we go. Work with your body, work what's good for you. Yeah. But I've definitely seen in just this month, though, a lot of health benefits. And I think even though week 4, it's like I didn't lose weight and there was all of this crazy stuff, I think it really opened my eyes to like, oh man, I think my hormones could really be a lot more evened out. Yeah. And I really think like this could be better in my health. And so now it's kind of almost opened my eyes to like a whole new set of like health goals, basically.
Yeah. I think one of the other things that has been a really noticeable thing to me for you being on carnivore, the amount of energy that she has is hard to keep up with. I mean, I feel like I have a lot of energy being on carnivore, and we, especially because we got a little bit stricter with it now, I'm kind of back to that, like, yeah, I have massive amounts of energy and all this kind of stuff. She has massive amounts of energy too. Like, even when she's not feeling 100% because of the bathroom issues or all these things, she still has all this energy. Even when she's not sleeping properly, she still has all this energy. And it's not like we're going to go out and we're going to run 10 miles. Like, I'm not talking about that kind of energy. I'm talking like I come home from work and she's like, so let me tell you what I did today. And it's this and it's this and it's this and it's this. And we're doing this and we're booking this show. And like, I mean, we sit and we have business meetings about everything we're trying to do because she can work and be so productive. And she's always a hard worker and she's always productive. But the speed at which her brain is just working in that productivity, she's improving these things that we're working on together on guitar. I'm working to help her develop some of that stuff that she's been doing, and song ideas for like new music that she wants to work on. And we're booking shows, putting together a fall tour. And like, I mean, there's just so many things that she's working on. And the schedule that we have been keeping is ridiculous. This last week, we filmed 2 videos. I edited 2 videos. Then we filmed 2 more videos, which I just finished editing today. Now today we're filming 2 more videos, including this one, right? And I'm coming out with a brand new recipe was experimenting with that yesterday. I'm in the kitchen experimenting. She's on the line talking to venues. Like, we are just firing on all cylinders. And although she is very productive and has always been a hard worker, the sharpness and the mental acuity with which you do it is noticeably increased for me to sit and watch you do it. And I'm like, I'm having a hard time keeping up with where her brain is able to go at the speed at which it can move, and which is a great thing. It's a really cool thing. Yeah. But I noticed that from someone from an outside perspective. Even if you're going through some physical things, there's this complete other side of stuff. The mental element, the energy that you have mentally, emotional stability, like the resilience that you have emotionally to things. I mean, I experience this. Yeah. So I'm not surprised that you do too. So I think that's just really, really cool.
Well, I think you're very sweet. You saying that's the first time I've actually heard him say that he's noticed that difference in me. Yeah,
I was saving that one for this last vlog, but I've really been noticing it, and I was like, I'm gonna make sure to say that, and I'm gonna drop that bombshell on her because I don't know if she sees it in herself. So.
Earning those hubby brownie points.
Trying to.
It's what it is. But you saying that you know, that brings up though a point that I think that kind of for me is a great way to word how like when people are like, so if you have all these bathroom issues and hormone issues and all this stuff's going on, then why are you sticking to carnivore?
Right.
It's because I feel the mental energy and or the, you know, energy and the clarity, and it's like I feel all these things. And it's like knowledge is power, and I just understand that my body's dumping.
Right.
And apparently I was holding on to a lot of stuff that I shouldn't.
Right.
So if I can get through this, you know, this period that I'm in of still being brand new to it, like I've only been on in a month, if I can continue to grow and work on my health goals and do these things, imagine how great I'm going to feel in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years.
And if you can do the experimentation, and this goes for everyone out there, you can do the experimentation to find like the right sort of elements that make you feel your best, adjust your fat intake, adjust your protein, like all these kinds of things, and be patient with yourself as you do it. But figure all that out little by little, and you're not going to be perfect at it. Just figure it out little by little. Always continue to grow. That will all resolve itself. It may take some work to get there. It's not fun, but that will all resolve itself. It will get better. What's not going to get better is if you give up on this because you feel, oh, well, I don't want to have to deal with these bathroom issues and blah, blah, blah. So instead of modifying and figuring out, okay, well, what do we need to do to kind of progress and heal that? And even if we back off, then we come back at it again and whatever. Instead of doing that, if you just go back to, well, this makes me this way, so I'm just going to go back here, which is what a lot of people tend to do, then you have missed out on all of that other stuff, this mental clarity and agility and the energy and all this. And it's like all this stuff, it may not be pleasant, but you can get through it and you can find the workarounds and the things you need to adjust to where it can resolve itself physically. And it's doing all of that because something in your body is trying to fix itself anyway.
Right.
But if you don't get through all of that and you don't stick it out, you never get to have this thing over here. If you don't eat your meat, you cannot love your life. That's what it really comes down to. And I mean, you know, I'm being a little funny about it, but that's what it really comes down to. And I think this is why we try to be so encouraging to people. You don't have to do this perfect. You don't have to be meat, salt, water from the very beginning. If that's your final goal, great. But you don't have to start there. And if the recipes that I make are the things that help you stay stable on this, it's a whole lot better to have a recipe that I make than it is to go down the street to Domino's and get that pizza and then feel like, well, see, I can't do it. I've blown it and now I'm off and whatever. Well,
and if you
even
blow
if you do blow it, don't give up. Go right back to it the next day, and don't beat yourself up and think somehow you're not good enough. One of the things that just makes me it just makes me seethe is when I see people that have six packs and pecs and big biceps and all this kind of stuff online. They're talking about how you need to eat meat, salt, water. Nothing wrong with that. But then there are some of them who do and if you can't do that, it's not right, and you need to do this, and you need to, and they beat people up for it. And it's like, I don't disagree that maybe meat, salt, water would be like the ultimate health goal. I don't know if it is or not. I'm not a doctor. But even if it is the ultimate health goal, what is the point of taking a bunch of fat, sick, unhealthy people all around the world and kicking them in the teeth over and over, telling them they're not good enough if they can't do it the way you do? That's pure ego. And so many people give up on this because they don't want to have to go through some of the unpleasantness. And then when they try to find help, all they get is kicked in the teeth for it.
Yeah.
And that is why I do what I do. And that's why Ash and I care so much about being real about this. Like, I still have extra weight to lose.
Right.
I know that. And I don't care when people come in the comment section and say that we're fat and that we're giving advice we shouldn't be and blah, 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 and all that other BS.
And that's the thing, though, too. So they call you fat. Okay, whatever.
I am.
But how much weight have you lost doing this?
Right, 130 pounds. They don't see that part.
So you've lost a whole person. You're still working on your health goals, but all this person can see you is in the moment.
Right.
And it's like,
right.
Okay.
And that's why you guys have to be able to see beyond the moment. See beyond the bathroom issues at the moment. See beyond the people with six packs who try to make you feel like you're not valuable enough. See beyond the dogmatic comments, the people telling you you're overweight, the people who say you're crazy, all of that. And it's hard. It really is. And I get it. And that's why we try to support you and have a community here where you can come and talk about this.
Also, just try to think of things in like a big picture. If you slip up and go have a pizza and you go off a carnivore and you do that, okay. That's not the end of the world. If you go right back, not even the next day, the next meal, whenever that may be, maybe it is the next day, you go right back to it. And then if you're able to stick with it and you keep going, well, a week or two later, does that pizza now really matter?
Right.
What about 6 months from now?
Right.
What about whatever?
Right.
So it's like if falling is inevitable. We all fall. It's how you get back up.
Yes.
So it's just, this is again, this is a lifestyle. This is a long-term thing. This is whatever. There's no being dogmatic. If you need kefir so that you can consume food and not run to the bathroom and that keeps you going, by God, order the kefir. Like, let it go.
I said this the other day in a comment section, and I actually have said this on a couple of different like live streams of other people's that I've been watching as I've been interacting and stuff. And I think this is a really good point. Slipping up is human. Giving up because of that is where it all falls apart.
Amen. Yes.
So don't beat yourself up if you have a slip up. I'm very proud of my wife. She's done this entire month without that. But if you do, it doesn't make you any less valuable. And remember, there's 365 days in a year. If you went and had a pizza every month, and I'm not saying you should do this, I'm not condoning that, but if you had a pizza every month, that's 12 meals. Out of, if you're eating one meal a day, that's 12 meals out of 365.
Yeah.
If you're eating 2 meals a day, you're over 700 meals. Do you know if you have 12 out of 700, if you were taking a test and you missed 12 questions out of 700, that's an A+. So don't be so focused on everything that's so wrong in the moment that you forget that the collective benefit of pursuing this relentlessly is going to be there. I've said that to so many people. Pursue it relentlessly. That does not mean that you're going to catch it every day. That means every time you slip up, it's human. Don't give up because that's ridiculous. Just keep pursuing it. You go, dang, I slipped up today and I had a brownie. Get up tomorrow, going right back to carnivore. Like, go after it, because if you refuse to let it beat you, eventually one day you're going to wake up and realize you've already got it under control and you're in great shape and you're feeling good and all of these benefits that you have been chasing are yours. But if you let the fact you don't already have them stop you from pursuing them, you will never get them. And anyone who tries to beat you down for not already having them is so short-sighted and so shallow and so ignorant of how this works. No famous celebrity who has worked in a career to become well-known worldwide, no hyper-successful business person, no pro athlete who is considered the best, none of these people woke up and one day went from knowing nothing to being the best. None of them.
Actually, great points here, because I really enjoy listening to different podcasts on successful people. Like to know how they think and how they view things. But to your point, Lucille Ball.
Yep.
I Love Lucy. Do you know that she was actually kicked out of her high school drama department? And the teacher said that she couldn't act and would never have any future in show business.
Yes.
And she went through clearly a very interesting time and discovered who she was. She kept acting. She stuck with it though. And she's freaking Lucille Ball.
Yep.
Michael Jordan was kicked off of his high school basketball team.
Yep.
Michael Jordan.
Yep. Luke Combs, one of the biggest country artists in the world, before he got his first deal, was told by a record label that no one would ever come pay to hear him sing.
I just was watching Garth Brooks in an interview, and he said that he had a label showcase. He had been passed by every single record label here in Nashville over and over and over again. And one night he got up and was literally the next day going to leave Nashville because he's like, well, it's just not working out. But he showed up and he played this show because he gave his word. And at that show was the person that signed him and whatever. So all of these successful people, the point is, this is really no different than whoever is watching and your own health journey, right? It's like, You fall, you slip. Someone may say, oh, blah, 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 blah. Get up. You just keep going back at it. You just keep doing it. And eventually you will be successful.
Yep. This is not the first time I've done carnivore. I did it once and I went back off the rails and I gained a bunch of weight back. But instead of beating myself up over that, which I did for a little while, but instead of beating myself up over that and letting it define me, I said, no, I need to go back to doing this. And I did it again. And I set a bigger and loftier goal the second time I did it. And that's when I did 365 days with no cheat meals. And in the midst of all of that, I started a YouTube channel. And now I'm a person that a whole bunch of people in the keto and carnivore world know who I am because I create these recipes. And I not only try to do what I need to do, but I try to support my wife in doing this now. I'm trying to support all of you in doing this now and have a platform from which I can try to speak good things into the keto and carnivore world. I never had any of that. And I started all of this because I just refused to give up. I pursued this relentlessly, and I still do every day.
Really interesting point, though, because clearly I know your story very well, and you just kind of said this. So when you did carnivore the first time, and then you went off the rails, and then you came back to it, you definitely beat yourself up. Yeah. Because
I didn't understand all this at that point.
No, you didn't. But again, you were new in your journey. That's where you were at. But it's very important where you put your energy. And at that time, you were putting all of your energy and all of your focus on beating yourself up because you went off the rails and you gained this weight and blah, 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 blah. So when you stopped doing that and when you were like, okay, that happened, that was a thing, you took your energy instead of focusing it on how you failed because you went off and you were like, okay, how can I do this? And then you put your energy into things like a YouTube channel and how to create carnivore mashed potatoes and all this stuff. That right there, though, is a great example of the power of where you put your energy. Yeah. Instead of sitting there beating yourself up over it because last week you went to McDonald's, okay, in the words of Forrest Gump, shit happens. Like, great, you're human, so are we, like move on. But it's like, man, what instead of beating yourself up, what if you took that energy and what if you were able to go on in the comment sections and encourage someone? What if that made you motivate and really want to food prep or try different things, or maybe you want to start a YouTube channel and do health vlogs like Chris started out doing, and then you're able though to help all of these people. But look at that's just such a point though. It's like that shows the power of where you put your energy. So
there is nothing about me that is special compared to any of you. You all have whatever it is that makes you special too. Like, I'm good in the kitchen. Each one of you has some kind of a passion and a talent that you can use to do incredible things for the people around you. Whether that's a YouTube channel or whether that is just for your family and your friends and your local community or whatever your platform is. There are places where you can use what you're good at and do amazing things. But the only way to do it is to pursue it relentlessly. And always, always believe that you can do it. Because this is the other thing. And as musicians, we understand this very well. No one's going to believe in you until you believe in yourself first. It's just the way it is. So when it comes to this kind of stuff, don't give in to the bathroom issues. Don't give in to any of these other kinds of, I'm feeling miserable right now. Certainly don't give in to a bunch of jerks with six packs and judgmental attitudes about the fact that you can't do it as well as they can. Neither can I, and you know what? I'm okay with that because look at the people that I get to help because I just do it the best that I can and I try to get better at it every day. Don't give in to any of that. Go do the things that you need to do. If you're really struggling, talk with a doctor, do all of this with a doctor, advising you and helping. We are not doctors, so we cannot give you medical advice, what you should and should not do with your body. But if you're going to do something like this, don't give in to the idea that because it's not working right now, it must be a failure. Figure it out. Do the work to find the research that helps you figure out what the right choice is. Do what you got to do, but don't ever give up on yourself, and don't let that stuff dissuade you from doing whatever it is that makes you feel better and makes you feel like you can live your life to the fullest. Because if you do this and you pursue it relentlessly, you can do things like have a cooking YouTube channel where you help people with keto and carnivore recipes. You can become a musician that can do all of these incredible things, and you have all of this mental energy to be able to just work at breakneck speed where your husband comes home and is trying to keep up with you.
Poor guy. Poor guy. Sorry to add on to this, but
No,
I really love everything that you're saying today. I
Yeah.
think you're on fire.
Yeah.
I think you ate your carnivore Wheaties before we filmed this whole vlog. No, I think this is so good we're talking about all this, but I think this is really true for women. And so as you're talking about like fitness, you know, kind of 6-pack ab guys and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
Something that I've really noticed just as a lady, is it used to be like back in the day, there'd be like skinny supermodels and like, you know, my time of kind of growing up was like in the early 2000s. So we all basically wore like way too much tanner. And like, you know, there was like the belly shirts and the crop tops. And I mean, that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
And it was very just like, you know, I mean, Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears. I mean, these were like the women who were put on billboards and posters. I mean, these were such pop icons. And so that's kind of how I grew up. But what I've really noticed is if you're on social media a lot today, and if you kind of pay attention to things like on TikTok, there's been this wave the past couple years, which is actually now the opposite. Where basically TikTokers and different people who are very overweight and who you can tell are not healthy by any means. Like, and that's the thing, it doesn't bother me that they're overweight. You can tell they're sick. Like you can tell they are not healthy. They're basically celebrating this thing of being overweight and, you know, don't body shame me and I'm this and I'm that. And it breaks my heart, honestly, in a way, because if they want to eat a standard American diet, if they want to do drugs, if they want to do alcohol, that's none of my business. But it's like, how much potential do these people have? And what are they missing out on? Because it's like, I can't imagine, you know, when you weigh that much and you're putting yourself out there and stuff, that you are mentally clear, that you're happy, that you're whatever. But it's just like this very complacent attitude. And it's almost like we're telling the younger generation now, it's okay to be sick and it's okay to be fat. And this is just what everyone goes through. And you have to be on 20 million medications. And that's what all your friends are on. And I'm not trying to be political or anything. I'm just stating the facts like I see them. You know, I know some friends that are overweight who have literally told me this whole thing of like, you know, oh, well, I'm just a chunky girl and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, I don't mind if you're chunky, if you're trying to better yourself, but don't be complacent and don't just give up and be like, well, I tried a diet and I failed. And like, no, don't give up and don't settle for less. Live up to your full potential.
You're worth more than that.
Yeah. You don't need to be a 6-pack, you know, model. But also, please don't be 500 pounds and then celebrate it. Do you know what that's doing to your body?
And if you are 500 pounds, realize you're valuable enough that whether it's keto or carnivore or whatever it is you've got to do, you are worth taking care of yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
And it doesn't matter if someone with a 6-pack tells you that you're worthless and that you can't do it as well as them. Screw that. Who cares what they say? Go out and do it because you know you're valuable enough. Go out and do it because you know that it's worth doing and because there's a better life and you're going to daily, relentlessly pursue it. That, I think, is what carnivore really has brought out for me. And I think that's what it's seeing it bring out for you too. No, I mean, Ash was already doing this. Ash, since I have met this woman, I've done everything I can to try to just keep up with the level of productivity and hard work and success and just aspiration that she has. She saw me at my lowest and my darkest, and I could not keep up with what she was doing. And it was very, very sweet for her to support me the way that she did. I just want to be able to do that in return, but to watch what she can do now with that mental clarity, I'm like, man, I got to start eating some more steaks or something because I got to figure out how I'm going to keep up with this.
So what you're saying is you come home and you go, oh Lord.
Well, I come home from work and it's like, you know, I'm used to being the one that, because I was doing carnivore, I'm used to being the one where it's like my mind goes 100 different places, right? And she's a little more like planned out and thought out and all that kind of stuff. Totally fine, very productive the way that she does it, just her brain works differently. Now I come home and like it's just as planned out and it works the exact same way. It's just working at a breakneck speed and I'm just like, you know, she's over here and she's going with all this stuff, but it's all planned out and figured out. And I'm like, wait a minute, what were we just talking about? Now we're talking about this next thing. I'm trying to keep up. And I think it's amazing and I think it's wonderful. and we're doing so many things that we've never been able to do before, physically, mentally, work-wise, like all of this kind of stuff. It's really incredible to see what she can do. And I'm really excited to see going forward what that turns into. It might kill me, but I'm gonna try to keep up with it. And we're just gonna try to make it all happen. So I think it's really great.
I think it's really great too. Also, just before we wrap things up here and get to filming our next recipe video, but since this is kind of like the last health vlog where, we're kind of discussing, we made it to the end of the month and woo, month on carnivore. Thank you for all your help and for all your support. You've been super kind and super wonderful putting up with me and my energy and my bathroom issues and my hormones swinging. You've been a trooper, babe.
I'm just a big redneck that figured out how to convince a hot woman to marry me. I'm not going to screw that up for anything.
You're very sweet. But thank you. You've been super wonderful, and it's like I said, been fun, and now we'll continue it. You may serve me a veggie when you need me to calm down a little bit or something, but no, it's been really good. And just thank you to everyone for like tuning in and watching these health vlogs and like going in the comments and just sharing their own stories. Like I've really enjoyed, I feel like just getting to, it's a lot, and I try to respond to every comment. I know you do too, but it's just really cool, I think, just to go in and not only like be able to share our stories with you, but I love going into the comment section on Chris's videos and just like listening to you guys talk about your stories and how long you've been carnivore, and you guys are sharing great advice, not only with Chris and I, but with each other. And I love that.
That's amazing.
I love that because that's I think kind of the kind of community that we really wanted, where it's like, there's this warm, open, being able to encourage and uplift each other. And I think that is just a big portion of success is who you surround yourself with. So it makes me very happy. So thank you guys for just watching and hanging out with us this whole month as I tried carnivore for the first time. So.
Absolutely. So I'm sure some of you are probably wondering, because Ash has developed quite a fan club in the comment section.
I don't know about that.
And in my subscribers, there are so many people that express how much they appreciate her being here. So if you're wondering, I have actually asked her if she will, at least for the foreseeable future, be a part of my health vlogs with me, because I think these are a lot more fun, truthfully, for me to do when we do them as a couple. I think it makes it a lot easier to talk about all of the different things in the carnivore world when you can do it as a conversation and less as just me sitting in a car, waving at the camera, telling you what I think every single day. There may be a few of those from time to time, but I think as a general rule, we get a lot more conversation that is beneficial to other people when it's the two of us. And here's the deal. I married my best friend and I married an amazing woman because I realized I was so much better in every way with her than I ever was without her. And that goes for my health vlogs as well. That is very much the case here. When I have her in my videos, when I have her working on my channel, it's so much better than anything I could ever do alone. So I asked her if she would be willing to pop in these health vlogs and just kind of be there and do these with me. And she very kindly and humbly agreed. So you'll be continuing lots more of Ash in videos and health vlogs, and we have some really interesting stuff that's going to be coming up in the next few months, and I'm going to tell you more about that later. We're not at a point yet where we're going to sort of announce all of this publicly, but there's some really cool stuff coming. Chris Cookin' Nashville is going to be a really, really cool, moving thing. And there's going to be a lot of stuff. We're really excited about it. We're not pregnant. Calm down. I know there's a lot of people out there that want us to have kids, but no. We are not at a place right now. Listen, it's everything I can do to keep up with a dog. I do not need kids right now. So it's not that. But we have some really cool stuff coming, and there's going to be a lot of really great, I think, content that is going to go so much further. We're still going to be doing all the same Chris Cookin' Nashville stuff. I'm still trying to make those game-changing recipes, but we're going to be adding some great things, and I think that you guys will hopefully find this to be a more and more beneficial place and a supportive community and a place that you can come and interact with both of us and just feel like we can all do this together. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming. On Saturday, I'm going to be releasing my carnivore white bread loaf. People have been asking me for this for months, and I finally figured it out. She hates egg white bread, and she loves this egg white bread.
I have eaten many an egg white bread before and spitting them out. And with this one that he made, it was so freaking good. It truly was. It was made. And what did you do with it? What could you do?
Yeah. Is anybody interested in a carnivore grilled cheese with bread that will actually toast in the pan properly? Because guess what? I've got it, and it's coming, and it was amazing. It was the best grilled cheese I think I've ever had.
I would agree. Yeah. I ate it. Yeah.
It's better. It's better than the ones I had growing up as a kid with the real stuff. Yeah. The real white bread. So that's an amazing video that's going to be coming. We've got a whole bunch of cool information and some really great announcements that will be coming in the coming months. But in the meantime, Ash is going to be here with me a little bit more regularly. So make sure to say hi to her. She's going to be trying to watch the comments a little bit as best she can. I don't know if she can respond to everyone the way that I tend to, because she just doesn't have access to the app on my phone the way that I do, which makes it a lot more difficult. But she goes through and sees your comments, and we're going to be interacting with you guys and fostering that community.
Because you were very nice to me today, and you said lots of nice things about me. It's very sweet of you, being very sweet, Mr. Lau.
I got to butter her up and get her to help me on this channel.
I guess that's what it is. I don't know if he's going to like hit, the camera off like when we're done recording and then be like, so here's this grill that I was thinking about getting. Like, babe, what you think about this grill? Like, is that buttering me up to get? No.
That's right.
No, I was just going to say really quick before we close this off, though, because we do have so many exciting new things in the works and for the channel and stuff, though. But I think it's very important because clearly I don't think people know this, and I'm kind of the only other person on your channel that knows you clearly very well enough to say this. But when Chris does things like health vlogs, recipes, the things that he's trying to do with his channel and grow and all that, it's very purely from a place of like, he wants to literally help as many people as possible. I mean, that's like why he started this YouTube channel. I mean, he started this YouTube channel and he was working 3 jobs. And I'm like, so you want to take time out of your schedule to start making videos? And he's like, yeah. And he did it when no one was watching, because he's like, but if I can help one person, like that's gonna, that's gonna make the difference. And so it's just been such a really crazy thing now, like basically a little over a year later, to have, I don't even know how many subscribers you have as we film this video, but so many subscribers. I mean, you're probably well on your way. I think sometime this year you'll hit 100,000.
We're hoping.
You already have like 3 million views on your channel. And so, I mean, just the community though that we've built. And I've literally seen him like change so many people's lives, and it's just so good. But I just think you guys should know, like, Chris literally, I think, works so hard. And I think sometimes that just goes without people even noticing. I think honestly, that's why sometimes as his wife, I get kind of pissed when people are like, giving him a hard time in the comment section or something, because it's like on top of his own health and weight loss and like all the jobs he works and like all the stuff that he does, like you have no idea how many nights this boy comes home after working, a 10-12 hour day and then teaching a lesson or doing whatever, and goes in the kitchen and literally makes things like carnivore bread or whatever, because he literally just wants to help people. It's just what he does, and he would never say that or be like, put a spotlight on himself, but I'm just going to say it. So, kind of gives you a peek behind the curtain. So,
definitely can't do this without her support. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to do some really cool things, and it's very busy, but it's very good. And we love every single one of you and hope that all of this is helpful for you. And if you have ideas of things you'd like us to discuss for future health vlogs, let us know. We'll do some research and we'll sit here and we'll bat it back and forth and we'll talk about it and let you know what we think and if we have any personal experience with it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for joining us for this month of carnivore for Ash, which has been, quite honestly, I would say life-changing, because now she wants to be carnivore as much as possible going forward, and that's never been the case before. So we're in uncharted territories, and we're going to see what goes on as we continue this journey. So thank you guys so much for watching. We can't do any of this without you. We love every single one of you. All of my links are down below as usual if you'd like to support what we do. We just appreciate every single one of you. Thank you to the members of the band on Patreon and the YouTube memberships. You're the reason we have the ability to do this every day, and we love you guys more than we could ever put into words. Thank you all for watching. This is Chris Cooking Nashville and Ash Taylor. Eat your meat, love your life, and we're going to see you guys here at the dining room table for some more health vlogs and back in the kitchen for more recipes.
Bye. Melody, hey. Come here. Look at the drool.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.